Hi. I didn't see you there over the massive pile of books I've amassed over the course of 2 months. I'm proud to announce that I am finally turning into a human living library. This has been my goal ever since I was a child. I don't see how it can get any better than this, to be honest, at this point, so... Hi guys, my name is Catherine. Welcome to my channel. And today we're gonna do a book haul. I love books, hence my channel. And I've loved books ever since I was a kid, and ever since I got a job, I bought more and more books, and I hadn't bought books in quite a while. So at the end of the lockdown in Belgium, the circumstances started to alleviate a little bit more, and I had just spent an entire 3 to 4 months studying my ass off for university, and I decided after my second or third exam, because I felt like I failed that one, I actually passed it eventually, I thought, done is done, enough is enough, we're gonna buy some books. After that exam I was feeling so shitty, I was like, oh fuck it, I saved up, I'm gonna spend some money on books because it makes me feel better when books start coming in the mail and it feels like Christmas every time I open them. And then the exams were over and me and my mom started going through thrift shops, and I started finding a lot of books at thrift shops. I was like, need these, need that, don't have that one. A lot of classics, and I was really baffled, and I went to a thrift shop with my mom yesterday and I bought too many books again. So I'm first gonna show you guys the newer books I got, and then I'm gonna show you guys the thrifted books, because I'm gonna make kind of a differentiation between the new and the thrifted. So let's go. The first book I got is Fence, Volume 4 by C.S. Pacat and Joanna de Mad. I don't know if any of you guys know, but I am a fencer myself. I love the sports. I loved it ever since I was a kid. I actually got into it because of the Ruby Red series, because Gideon de Villiers actually fenced, and in the Spidery Chronicles, what's her name? Mallory Grace actually fenced as well, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to go fencing. And I was like, they were like, oh, alright. I was like, I really want to go fencing, and they were like, we guess. So I started to get into fencing, and I loved fencing so much, loved it ever since. I love getting stabbed with swords and getting... I don't have bruises today, which is really a proud achievement, because I didn't fence because of the lockdown for like 3 months, and then when I started fencing again like 3 weeks ago, I came home and the next day I was just like, even my legs are still full of bruises, and it's really something. But yeah, so I got the graphic novel Fence. I love these graphic novels so much because it's like actually accurate. Like some graphic novels about sports and stuff you read are not always that accurate, but these things are actually so accurate, and I'm actually learning something from it. I'm like, whoa, yeah, if I do that, that would actually be very helpful. And I'm actually learning terms of fencing in English, which is really handy, because I live in Belgium, and like generally I live in the Flemish part of Belgium, and we speak Dutch at our fencing practices, so I don't really know English terms of fencing, and reading this, it's actually making me like French. Like fencing mostly, for the most part, is French, like en garde, prêt, aller, and most of the terms like flèche and stuff, they're French terms. But you also have like the term lunges, we call it differently, and I didn't know that a lunge was called a lunge like in fencing terms, and I was like, oh, so what we call uitval is called a lunge, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually really helping me, because I have the ambition to study abroad at one point in my life, and I do want to pick up fencing abroad as well in an English-speaking country. So knowing English fencing terms is really helpful. Beside that, the story is great. It's like all-inclusive. It has like this cute couple of goals that we still have to delve deeper into, and the angst is so great, and the ambition is so great. What I love so much is that the main character is splendid. So yeah, the first book I got, sorry for this whole so yeah, the first book I got was a graphic novel, Fence Volume 4 by C.S. Pacat and Joanna de Mad. The next book I got was, I actually bought because I saw, I had seen one of these books on NetGalley before, and then I saw one of my friends talk about it on Twitter, and they were raving about this author. The author is Julian Winters with How to Be Remy Cameron and Running with Lions, and I actually saw Running with Lions on NetGalley, but it was a decline for an arc. And I saw my friend Kev's talking about it. If you don't know him, check him out. He's lovely. I love him. I adore him. And I really trust his taste. So I bought Julian Winter's book because he was like, oh my god, these books are so good. And I was like, I gotta read it. I gotta read it. So yeah, I got 2 books by Julian Winters, Running with Lions and How to Be Remy Cameron. The next book I got is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I heard a lot about this book right before it came out, and I thought the cover, I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit. The cover is just gorgeous, and I've been wanting to read a lot more mermaid books recently. And when I saw this book, I was like, wow, it's gorgeous. It's just, look at it. The cover is absolutely splendid. Just look at, wow, I'm in love. I'm in love. And I was like, I gotta order this. So when I was like scrolling through the internet, buying books, I was like, in the basket. So yeah, the next book I got was A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow, and I'm really excited to read this. The next book I bought is The Henna Wars by Adiba Jagerdar, and I heard a lot of stuff about this book, and I actually bought it because, again, I'm in love with this cover. I was in love with the blurb, with the excerpt from the book I read from the summary of the book. And a friend of mine on Twitter, Clary, if you're watching this, thank you for like even hyping me up more after having bought it, and to Gabby as well, because she was like hyping it up on Twitter after I'd bought it, like, I love this book so much and it's so good. And just all over praise for this book, and that's why I bought it. Just really fell in love with the summary, like about these 2 girls who go to school, and they are going to have like this contest in which they are going head to head in showing off their henna art. And it sounds like such a cool concept, because I don't know, it sounds so really nice to me, and that's why I bought The Henna Wars by Adiba Jagerdar. The next book I bought is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I feel like I keep saying I bought all these books because I loved the cover, which I did. I'm such a cover buyer, and afterwards I usually check, oh, what is the story about? And sometimes before, and sometimes during buying, and sometimes while looking at the cover, I keep like, I like the cover, do I like the blurb that's given, do I like the summary that's given? And I fell in love with this cover. Like, it's so beautiful, and I'm addicted to fruits, and this really makes me crave papayas and blood oranges and mangoes. And when you like, yeah, that's the next book I bought, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Next books multiplied I bought are, you probably all know it, everybody knows I'm becoming a simp for this as well. And I fully blame Gabriella Pop for this, because Gabby, if you're watching this, you made me Alice Oseman trash. Clary, if you're watching this, you enforced me becoming Alice Oseman trash. I did actually go on a buying spree and bought every single Alice Oseman book that's out there. And I read every single Alice Oseman book that's out there, and I'm currently in the middle of I Was Born for This, and I just got Solitaire yesterday. But the first 3 Alice Oseman books I read and got in the mail were the Heartstopper books. Heartstopper graphic novels, actually. And this is the first one. Heartstopper Volume 1. Now we have Heartstopper. I think I'm gonna be able to pull this off by pulling them, 3 of them on the screen. Heartstopper Volume 2 and Heartstopper Volume 3. Like, they're so aesthetically pleasing. The drawings are so beautiful. And the story itself is so magnificently beautiful. I just adore it to bits. It's like, I read these graphic novels just as they came in the mail. I just read them. Like, I first got graphic novel 3, so I actually had to wait until the first one came in, and then I read it. I loved it to bits. And it's just about these 2 boys, Charlie and Nick, and they go to a grammar school, Truman Grammar School, and they become friends, and they fall in love, and there's just all these things people go through in their lives, and they go through stuff, and they learn to love each other, and they learn to come out for who they are, and they learn to face their problems. And I actually cry reading this because I love it so much. I actually got my best friend to read Heartstopper because I wanted to like buy the books for him because it's his birthday like really soon, but I couldn't wait to let him read it. I had heard about the app Tapas. I'm gonna put it up here. The app Tapas, and you can actually read all the Heartstopper books on there for free. And if you're like worrying like, oh no, how am I going to support the author like that? And you read Heartstopper on Tapas, even though the entire stories a story and mini stories on there are free. Actually, Alice Oseman is part of a bonus program, so even if you read it for free on Tapas, she actually gets met with some contribution for it, even though you've read it for free. So if that's your fear of like not being able to support the author, you are actually supporting the author by reading it on Tapas. So yeah, I really recommend that if you cannot buy Heartstopper from scratch from the first time around, to read it on Tapas. It's really good. I've read the continuation already because I couldn't wait for book 4. I'm just like now waiting for the 1st, 11th and 21st of each month until Alice Oseman updates Heartstopper, but I'm gonna buy volume 4 when it comes out anyway because I love it so freaking much. It's a great set of graphic novels, and it's really making me eye-opening through to the people I love in my life, to who I love in my life, to which genders I love and I'm attracted to in my life. And it's just, you need nudges like this. Like when you're confused at certain ages, these like books like these really make you think about what do you like, what do you love, what are your interests, and not only on love fields but also on friendship fields, sexual fields and whatnot, and interest fields and hobbies. And these books are really good for everything, and I love Alice Oseman. I'm so glad I bought the 3 Heartstopper volumes. So yeah, I'm in love. I'm in love. The next books I got is Solitaire by Alice Oseman, and I'm gonna make a separate video like hyping up Alice Oseman and why Alice Oseman is so important, because this is not an Alice Oseman promotional video, but I just love Alice Oseman so much ever since reading it. And like Gabby, this is Gabby's fault that I read everything Alice Oseman and I love her for it, but it's just, it's such great books. And like I got Solitaire by Alice Oseman, Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman, Loveless by Alice Oseman. And from the 4 Alice Oseman books I got, I already read Solitaire and Radio Silence, and let me tell you, Alice Oseman really is the pinnacle of contemporary YA literature at this moment, and I think she's gonna be for a very long time because she writes so vividly, so well. You really get pulled into the story. And honestly, I'm not a contemporary reader at all, but this is making me want to read more contemporary, and I just love it. I'm halfway through I Was Born for This, and I'm so pumped to dive into Loveless. So yeah, the next books I got were the Alice Oseman books, and I loved them. And you should really give it a go, and I recommend it. I cannot wait to dive into the other Alice Oseman books I got, and yeah. Then the last newer book I got was actually a gift from one of my best pals, my best friends, I adore her to bits, Gabby from Gabriella Pop. On Twitter she's @_AkioFandom. She also has a blog, and I'll just link her down below because I adore her to bits. I love her so much. And she sent me A Queen of Corn and Whispers by Helen Corcoran, and she had it signed for me, and I wanted to read this so badly, and she was kind enough to give me this as a gift because she's one of my best friends and I love her so much, and I'm so excited to dive into this book. It's a sapphic fantasy book about how a girl suddenly becomes queen, and it's like full of intrigue and whatnot. And look at the cover. It is so beautifully damn gorgeous. I cannot wait to dive into this, and I'm so grateful and blessed that I got this book, and then I have Gabby for a friend. And Gabby, if you're watching this, I am coming over at one point when this pandemic is over, and we're gonna have the best times of our lives. And yes, I love this. Thank you so much again. Then for the thrifted segment of this video, like I have 2 ginormous, relatively ginormous piles of books besides me, and basically me and my mom have been spending a lot of more quality time together, going to thrift shops, just looking out either like mugs and teacups, because I'm addicted to buying teacups and mugs, and like stuff to hang on my walls, and of course books, because I love books. And thrift store books are so cheap sometimes, and I was like, I need them all. The first book I got was Centerpoint Now. It is an art book about like an installational type of art book with like artworks and artists in it. And in high school I was a theater kid. I was a drama student, and we had like aesthetics as a class, and I loved doing aesthetics, like going to museums. We went to a lot of museums, and ever since I started studying English and theater, film and literature science at university, I feel like I've been going less and less and less to museums. So books like this really make me crave the museum environment again. I'm going to try to go to more museums. I actually got a little pass for the borough I live in to go to more museums, and books like this just make me more excited to go to museums. So yeah, that's the first thrifted book I got. The next two books I got play into my film student vibe, and it's these books. It are books on the directors Martin Scorsese and Oliver Stone, because I'm a film student and I like to learn about movies. I like to watch movies. I like to dissect movies. I have to write papers on movies, and I actually like writing papers on movies because it's like so different, and also the same at the same time on writing papers about books and literary works. And yeah, these books are just the making of either Oliver Stone's movies and either Martin Scorsese's movies, and they really were quite the bargain. So when I saw these at the thrift store, I was like, I need these books because I'm interested, and this is really fitting into the stuff I study right now. So I was like, this is a big ass score. So yeah, Oliver Stone and Martin Scorsese and how they made some of their movies are books I get at the thrift store. The next book I got from the thrift store is The Power and the Glory by Graham Greene. And basically the reason why I got this is because it's like one of those Penguin Classics books, and I really love the look of Penguin Classics books. And I actually don't really know what it's about, but I guess everybody buys books like that from time to time, and I just bought it because it was like cheap. It was a Penguin Classic, and we actually don't have that much English books at our thrift stores because I live in Flanders, in Belgium, and we have a lot of Dutch books, but I love reading in English, so yeah, I got an English book because aesthetic. The next book I got is actually an English classic, and it's Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift, and this is actually a book I did not have yet, which I feel I actually should have because I am an English student, and that's why I bought Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift, because I study English and I feel like there are some classics I do need to have on my bookshelf, and these are one of them. So I bought at the thrift shop. I managed to get this bargain that was Jonathan Swift's Gulliver Travels. My camera died, so I had to switch over to my phone. Next two books I got from the thrift shop were two books by Penelope Fitzgerald, The Bookshop and Beginning of Spring, and I just loved the medieval artworks that were on the cover, and that's also the reason why I got these books. And I just really thought they were so beautiful, and they were they were like these old Harper Collins books, and they're really a bargain. So I thought, let's just take these little queens home, and I love them because aesthetic, yes. So yeah. The next book I got at the thrift store actually was quite the bargain because it was one of those new Penguin English Library classics, and it was The Hound of Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's like, it's a Sherlock Holmes novel, and it was like really cheap, and it was in new pristine condition. And I was like, I don't have this book yet, I think, or I did. Oh my god, I'm sorry. But I was like, this is a bargain, I need to buy it. So I just went with it. So yeah, the next book I got was The Hound of Baskervilles, because by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And you guys, you need, like, if you can provide, if you can turn up with like a few bit of money, cash, stuffy shush, and you are low on money and you need books, I recommend like looking for thrift stores. And let me just give you a little tip on that one. I love watching the channel from Best Dressed, and because I love thrifting clothes as well, and she had this tip that if you want to buy the best clothes to buy, like the brand type of clothes, I try to apply that with books. I went with my mom to one of the more expensive boroughs in Belgium, where like the more rich people live, and I went to check for books there, and the amount of turn up I got for English books, like stuff that I was like, what is that doing in a thrift store? Like, how did that even end up here? Like, I didn't know people were reading these books. I even found course books, and like, that's a tip. Go to the more expensive borrows to buy thrifted books, because you'll find a lot more books, and they're even cheap. Like, this applies for in Belgium, because like they have these standard prices, like 50 cents, €1.50, €2.50, and like most of these books were like 50 cents or €1.50 or €2.50, and it's like, of course it'll count up when you got a lot of books, but I actually got a lot of cheap books, for which I'm really, really glad. So that's a little tip. So yeah, the next book I got was The Collection of the British Museum, edited by David M. Wilson, because I love art. I love art so much, and it was like this beautiful book on artwork and art pieces and old antiques in the British Museum. I don't even know from which year it is or something. It's from 1993, so probably the collection they have up in the British Museum might have altered a little bit, or might have expanded, or might have slimmed down a little bit. Pieces have been removed, pieces have been added, but still, it's like so cool to learn about art and where artwork came from throughout centuries. And why did I not study art history? I often wonder, why did I not study history? Because I'm a hoe for books, I simp for books, we admit it. So yeah. The temperature in this room. I love it. So yeah, I feel like a lot of these thrifted books enforce my dark academia aesthetic. It's like, I love it. Next book I got at the thrift store, where there were a lot less English books, was Romancing Vietnam by Justin Wintle. And I really thought that this book had something, in the sense that the person that last read it annotated it with all these little Dutch words that they didn't know what the English, like, annotated with Dutch words because they didn't know what some English words meant. And I also was intrigued by the title, and I wanted to know what it was about. It was a penguin book, and it's so rare to see penguin books and like British and American English books at thrift stores in Belgium these days, because a lot more people are starting to read English, but it's not like they immediately sell them off at thrift stores. So it's like really rare to find English books, and I was really interested in this book, and so I got it. Romancing Vietnam by Justin Wintle. The next book I got is actually, I was really surprised that it was at the bigger thrift store, but I found it at the bigger thrift store, and it was Pillow Tots by Courtney Peppernell. And it's like, this is one of those Andrew McNeill publishing books, which I don't think has been out that long, maybe a year or something, and it was already at the thrift store, and I've been wanting to read this book for quite a while, but I've never had the thought like, oh my god, let's buy it. Because I was intrigued, I was interested, but not as much, and they had it at the thrift store, so I was like, alright, let's buy this baddie, let's buy it, let's read it, let's see if we like it. So yeah, that's the next book I got, Pillow Tots by Courtney Peppernell. The next book I got is actually quite a joke, I feel. Not that it's a joke that I got it, but it's a joke that it was at the store. So like, 2 days ago, on the 22nd of July, I had to re-enroll in my university. And then when my enrollment was certified, I could choose classes. I could choose extracurricular classes, something which I've been excited for ever since like the first year actually. And I chose young adult literature. I chose contemporary receivement of English history novels. The contemporary reception of English historical novels, I think it was. Something really speaking to my soul. And the third extracurricular course I thought was interesting was radio drama, because I've been thinking about starting a podcast, and I thought it was really fitting such a course for starting a podcast. And I was at the thrift store, and do you know what book they had there? They had an actual Routledge book on radio drama, and my mom was like, after I bought it, she was like, what if that's actually the course book you're going to have for your class next year? And I was like, that would be the biggest meme in the entire world, because the actual price was still on this thing, and it was really expensive, and what I paid for it wasn't even one, was it, I don't know statistics. That's why I failed that class. It was so cheap, and I thought it was such a joke that they actually had a course book on radio drama, and I was like, if this is the book I'm gonna need next year, I'm gonna laugh really, really, really hard, because I got it so cheap, and even if I don't need it, it's gonna be really handy for my course. So yeah, that's the next book I got. I got a radio drama theory and practice book by Tim Crook from Routledge, whose books are usually a little bit more expensive because they're college books, and this is a peak. This is a peak. Student move. We are fame. Zoom zoom. The next book I got at the thrift store was Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome. And it just looked like this funny old book about three men going through some shenanigans. And it had like this... And it had like this cute little illustration for which I trash so hard when books have them. So I didn't want to leave it behind because it seemed like so much fun. And come on, I mean, look at that. Would you just look at that? It's so cute. So yeah, I got Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome, and I think this name is really funny because who has the same first name as their last name? That's so intriguing. I wish I had that. Catherine C. Catherine. The next book I got at the thrift store was Ephesus, and it's like basically a book on Greek sites and Greek places and monuments. And I really love Greek art and monuments and mythology and folklore and legends and so I got this book next on like Greek art and culture, and I love it. The next book I got actually reminded me of a book I read when I was a kid, and that is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. And I got The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, because Huckleberry Finn also makes his entree in The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. And I really loved The Adventures of Tom Sawyer when I was a kid. I read that and I was obsessed with it. I could not put it down. I just love it. Still have so many flashbacks of that book, like love it. I need to read it again. I got The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. The next book I got is also a classic I've been meaning to buy for the longest time, and it is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Since we're still on a roll with old English classics and English literature, I got Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and I think this is so funny that I got this book because you know Danny Phantom, you know the English teacher, the one with the balding and the beard, and he always like was cursing in English literature titles, and I only figured that out like when I was like 18 or something. I'm 20 now. No, I figured it out like last year. I was 19. Like, I figured it out, and like I saw the meme Lord of the Flies. I was like, oh yeah, that's a book. And I was like, oh my god, they got Lord of the Flies. And I thought it was just so funny that they actually had Lord of the Flies. I thought it was so funny because it's a classic, and I immediately was like, ha, Danny Phantom. I loved Danny Phantom as a kid, so I was like, yeah, let's take this. So yeah, the next book I got at the thrift store was another more of a historical type of book, and it's Tutankhamun by C. Desroche Noblecourt. It's a penguin book about Tutankhamun, and it has all these cool Egyptian drawings and architecture sites and information on Tutankhamun. And this really just pickled my pickle, buttered my biscuits, which is like Egyptian culture and folklore and mythology and whatnot. The next book I got is a beast. A dictionary of quotations. Like, I love it. The next book pickled my Shakespeare pickle. And it's a pictorial biography on Shakespeare by F.E. Halliday. It's like this beautiful book with pictures and buildings and old English stuff in it, and it's on Shakespeare, our Lord and Shakespeare Savior Willie Shakes. The next book I got, I was actually so excited about because I have this friend, Lean, and she introduced me to the concept of Save the Cat. It's like this writing guideline thing that could help writers write their books, and they actually had Save the Cat on screenwriting over there. I still want the novel version, but they had Save the Cat screenwriting, and I thought it was so cool that they had that book there. Like, I was like, oh my god, Mom, look, they have this book you know nothing about, but look at my excitement. And it's so cute because it even has like this little message inside of the book, and I think it's quite sad because it says, I hope this book will inspire you as much as you inspire me. Thank you. Alyssa, I think it says 22nd of March 2016, but I think it's so sad because it's such a beautiful message for a beautiful book, and I found it at a thrift store. So Alyssa, I will love this book with all my heart. Thank you very much for your friend for donating it to a thrift store. I'm sorry, but it will be loved very dearly from now on and very usefully used in writing shenanigans I like to get into. Another book I got is The Pinnacle of Dark Academia, and it is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. And I actually love this book, even though it's already falling apart at the seams. But it was a bargain, and a friend of mine, Alina, if you're watching this, we stan, I love you. She really recommended the Donna Tartt to me, as well as The Goldfinch, and I still have to read all of her works. But I loved it, and I thought it was such a bargain, and it actually came from London, all the way from London, Hamilton, and it had like a ticket stub to the London Underground, and I really loved it. So yeah, that's another book I got at the thrift store, The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Another book I got was The Eternal Verities by the Theosophy Company. It doesn't have an author on there, and it's about theosophy. And the only reason I actually bought this book was because you see the little snake up here? That's the Ouroboros. I have a necklace with the Ouroboros on it, and I just thought it was really cool. So yeah, I got this at the thrift store. And the last book I got is a book I actually got from a friend of mine, and it is the plays of Christopher Marlowe, and he's the one who wrote the play about Faust. And as a theater kid, theater university type student, I love plays and anything that to do with theater, film, literature. So when she gave me this book, I was really excited, and it's just like the cutest. My big ass hand is even taller than this cute little booklet. It was the cutest and most kind and sincere gift I received. And I'm just so lucky to have friends who give me with books. And wow, I don't deserve them, and I just really love it. So that was the last book I got for this haul. So yeah, everybody. Reminder, after this video, go drink some water, stay hydrated. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed that little tall, massive book haul I did here. As you know, I love reading. I'm a walking library, and I hope you have some recommendations for buying books yourself. And remember, Alice Oseman is amazing. Books are amazing. Heartstopper should be the new Bible of the 21st century. So have a great day. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment. Go message me on Instagrams, on the Twitters if you've read any of these books and if you like them. And see you next time. Bye!